Oh, it's a pig! Welcome to the Lake Erie Kayak Anglers Podcast, the podcast designed to make you a better angler. I'm Chuck Earls with Lake Erie Kayak Fishing.com. Today we have Robert Sharkey joining us. 11 days ago, he had an incident where a rogue wave flipped his kayak over and put him in the frigid water. Fortunately, he's here to share the story with us today. How you doing, Rob?
You're right. Doing good. How you doing, Chuck?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thanks for coming on the show.
Anytime.
So before we get into this incident, why don't you just give us a little bit of background on you, maybe about your fishing passion, kayak fishing, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, no problem. I'm pretty green at it. I've only been at it since probably 2017, maybe a little bit earlier than that. And I was terrible at it. And it wasn't kayak fishing. I was fishing off the banks, and I was doing the bobber, worm, never catching nothing. And then, believe it or not, my mom was the one who told me to put like a spinner or a storm lure on there and reel it. Don't, give them something to chase. And right when I did that, and that was at the same time that I think silver bass were running. And I tagged a silver bass, and I was like, oh, then I just got excited about that. And then my old man, after couple months after that, bought some little kayaks. And then I started doing a little bit of venturing around, not much fishing. And I was casting into some weeds around Grozeel and landed my first muskie on a storm lure, with probably 6-pound test. And that thing, it's a nice size one. It was probably, I don't know, a little over 3 foot. But I didn't even know what a muskie was at the time. And brought that in. And right after that, I just wanted what's down there? What's the river monsters that are down? I was hooked after that. Then I got a little bit bigger kayak and a little bit bigger, nothing to what you guys use, but I'm slowly coming along, But I love it. I got a passion for it. It's just a passion of mine now.
Any kayak that gets you on the water safely is a good kayak.
Mm-hmm.
I started out of the Wilderness Systems Pungo 140. Isn't really a fishing kayak. It's a sit-in, but it's 14 foot long with front and back bulkheads, so it was safe enough for Lake Erie. Just not convenient to fish out of, but eventually along the way, the more you fall in love, the more it evolves.
So, yeah, it does.
Nobody should ever be ashamed of what kind of boat they're in.
I love that. Is that the one that had the shark face on it? Teeth?
Yep.
I love it. I remember those posts, and I just fell in love with that kayak. That thing was just the meanest looking thing,
Oh yeah.
I love that thing.
It's still hanging in my garage, reminding me of where it all, where everything started.
Oh yeah. The one I caught my muskie is behind my garage. It's my son's now, my first muskie. And
Nice.
he lives in St. Clair, and he hasn't even come down to pick it up yet. He's right off the water. But I don't know if he's going to share the same passion as I do, but he might once he gets out there,
Right. We will be back after the short break.
Today's podcast brought to you by Lake Erie Kayak Fishing.com. Come along with me and experience one of the best freshwater fisheries in the world while chasing monsters kayak fishing Lake Erie. We now return to the show.
Let's get into this day. It was 11 days ago, so it wasn't that long ago, but it instantly had a huge impact on you. So I just want to we'll just start from the beginning. You wake up in the morning, you're getting ready to go fishing. What was your normal routine, and what precautions did you take prior to going out on the water that day?
Going out, I have tons of lights on my kayak because I go out pretty early. But this time of year, I'll go out around like sunrise, around like 7:30. Have a radio on me, life jacket, air horn, just in case boat's cruising by doesn't see me, and that's pretty much. And then layers. Then I layer, but I layer improperly. majorly improper, and you know this, from my post in the past. But it was a beautiful day, calm. I mean, you couldn't ask for a more picturesque morning.
What were the temperatures? Air temperature and water temperature?
Water temperature was 37 according to my fish finder when I was out there. Air temperature around that time, I really couldn't tell you. I mean, I think I was pretty much overdressed for the air temperature, but it might have been, I don't know, climbing on 40 at that time. It
Yeah,
was Thanksgiving morning. I can't remember what the temperature was that day. I tried to get in and out and make it home, home for dinner, and I got
right.
home a little earlier than I thought I was going to get home. You know,
But
that's
at
what
least you
happened.
made it home.
Yeah, it was something else, man. It was like I said, it was a picture perfect day, and I mean, there wasn't even a ripple in the water. And you fished in the same spot I was at where it happened, and I was trolling because the weeds were dying down, so I was able to put a repel in the water and troll, and just going back and forth, casting the banks. Eventually, I might have caught something. I don't know. Water's chilling out, getting a little harder to catch around here, and like I said in my post, I seen a freighter coming up to Livingston. So I thought I did a lot of made a lot of mistakes in a matter of like 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes. I hurry up and turn my kayak around, wanted to clean my GoPro lens off. So I took the cap off my storage between my legs to get my rag out, clean the lens. Um, Started rowing northbound along the Livingston Wall. And it's a little peninsula. Right when I got to the end of the peninsula, I took one picture and I was looking more at the freighter versus where I was at. And then when the tail end of that freighter went by, that area I was in, it's a bad area even on a good day, but you can get out. You can go in and out all day long. There's no boats going by.
But there's
But
some pretty intense current coming through there, if I remember.
yeah, it bottlenecks everything. Yeah, it bottlenecks right in that one spot. The whole river, the whole width of the river from the Canadian side to the American side just bottlenecks into the Livingston, which is probably, I don't know, 300 yards wide. And all I remember is feeling that I'm getting sucked in, tried to turn myself out, and then a wave hit my back, and that's pretty high for it to hit my back. And then it was pretty much like a getting hit from the left, the right. There was no getting out of it. And then it flipped me. Then that's when major panic set in because I'm starting to shake a little bit. Every time I tell this story, I start to shake a little
But
bit. But
it's only been 11 days, so
yeah,
take your time.
I noticed my hat. The only thing I really remember was my hat floating away, and I was underwater. But it was to me it was like forever, but it was probably just like a split second. And then I looked up and I seen my kayak, grabbed it, was able to pull myself up, and at that moment I looked at the rear of the freighter and didn't just realize this the size of these things. Looking up at it, and then I felt like I was in the ocean. There was no, there was no, the water wasn't giving up and hit me from every direction. And luckily, I was able to pull myself on top of my kayak and lay flat, which was upside down now. And thank God my paddle was leashed because I would have just been floating down to Livingston. I was wherever the current would take me, that's where I'd be going. And the Livingston Wall was probably 30 yards to the west of me, which felt it probably took me just to do that 30 yards, probably a half an hour with the current, and to get to that wall to flip the kayak back over. And now I'm freezing. Like I said, I dressed in layers, which is, I mean, I had long johns on, sweats, winter pants, rain gear, a sweater, jacket, hat, uh, boots, I don't even know what that stuff weighed wet. I wish I should just take it all one day and just throw it in the tub, wet it all down and weigh it just to see what I was actually carrying. Because my life jacket's only rated for my body weight with swim trunks on. It's just nothing
Right.
for what that was.
That's an important detail right there too.
Yeah.
The amount of layers, once those things get saturated and add that extra weight, is your PFD going to, or anybody's PFD going to actually keep your head above the water?
Yeah, I think it was my kayak that kept my head above the water more than my PFD did. And then I kept my scupper plugs in before I went out because I did. It was a call, like I said, flat water, so nothing was draining, and it really doesn't drain until I start moving anyway. Then it starts pulling the water out. And the cap, when I went to go and wipe the GoPro lens off, I didn't put the cap back on because I didn't have time. So when I flipped it back over, the kayak was full. It was filled with water. I mean, it was gallons and gallons of water in there. And that's when panic started setting in again because I had to row up to Livingston, and go make a left. I don't know what that would be for you, starboard or whatever that is, and into that little current area again. And every big row I did wanted to flip me because the water in the kayak was whooshing.
Right.
And so I had to do a lot of little tiny strokes, just to keep the kayak from teetering. And that took a little while to get around that corner too. Then I got around the corner, got more into the bay, beached the kayak, drained all the water out, stood it up, drained it out. Had no phone signal, so I probably halfway across through the bay at Stony, I was able to call my dad. My keys were in the river, couldn't get in my car, and took me a while to warm up. I was shaking in his car for probably a good 15 minutes before my hands calmed down. But it was sketchy. It was I don't know, it was terrifying. And like I said, I was complacency, I had that mindset, it's not gonna happen to me. I've been out there in that water so many times in that area. And then I thought about like your post, and you brought up not very long ago about the 3 kayakers and the only 2 coming back recently in Lake Erie.
Right.
And that guy has not been found yet. Not that I know of. I don't know if you've heard anything.
Unfortunately, he's still out there.
Yeah, and I don't know. It was a terrifying situation, which made me really rethink my winter and early spring fishing. And how I'm gonna go about it.
Right.
And then that's when I called you that day.
Yep.
Because that was the first thing I thought of was you're majorly into the safety on the water and the precautions to take.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember getting that phone call, and I was just so grateful that you were on the other line talking to me after hearing about that situation, because I mean that water temperature can easily take your life without wearing a dry suit and the proper under layers, and most importantly the proper fabric construction. You definitely don't want anything that has any kind of cotton in it, because cotton, as soon as it gets wet, it just pulls your body heat away.
Okay.
Other fabrics like merino wool, they get a little bit wet or a little bit damp, they're still going to have insulating properties and still keep you warm. But of course, with the dry suit outer layer, that's going to protect you from that water altogether.
Yeah, it was because that was I don't know how much cotton I had on that day, but I'm assuming every shirt I had on or piece of clothing was damn near cotton, full 100% cotton. But look what this came in today.
Oh, your dry suit.
Yeah,
Nice.
so that's going to be being tested very soon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try it on. Like I said, I did the large. We're about the same body size, and a couple of things I got to do with the kayak because I still want to get out there. Got to replace some things now. But
Right.
like you said, and everybody said, all the everything I lost is replaceable.
Right.
Slowly do some shopping.
Yep. At least you're here to continue fishing.
Hmm.
And now with the dry suit, you get out there, you test it, um, flip over the kayak, sink it, add a bilge pump, by the way. That way you could actually pump it out and,
Yeah,
just practice that. And the more time you spend in that water, that's why I'm always testing my dry suit. You know, at the end of the day, you want to think about it like this. It is life-saving gear. You want to make sure that it's ready to save your life, at any point.
mhm,
And you never know when maybe we get a little pinhole or we hook it or something like that. And now next time you go in the water, accidentally your dry suit's leaking in a certain spot. So, you know, just get out there, jump in that icy water, make sure your layers are prepared to keep you warm in that temperature. And also when you get out of the water, because you're gonna want to relive that step of the journey back. What if you were further away?
yeah,
You want to be able to make sure you can get back in your kayak quickly, especially in current like that, because that current's going to take you, it could throw you into the rocks, it could, take you to Canada. I mean, it can take you wherever it wants. So being able to react quickly and get back in your kayak and get yourself back to safety is just something you want to kind of just don't practice to get it perfect. Practice so that you can't get it wrong.
right, right. Yeah, there's a couple things like I want to go over with you with like the underlayers. I don't know the underlayers. You brought up pinholes and what to keep on you with the tape and the sealant. Things like that. Maybe you can touch base with me and keep as I can keep that on my kayak. At all times.
Yeah,
Just
I can
for.
send you some links to that gear.
Mhm.
But it's aqua seal and the UV. It has to be the UV. And I believe you have to carry a UV light too, just to cure
Okay.
it. You can use the sun, but on a cloudy day, you just want to grab your UV light and just hit it real quick. It's going to cure it, and you'll have an instant seal. And you can also, if it's a big tear or something like that, you can use, uh, I believe it's the Tear Aid Type B, and patch, a slice or anything like that. I've never had any issues with any kind of rips. The only time I had a pinhole was early on. I had the suit for like 3 days, or 3 trips rather, a couple of weeks. And I got out of my kayak all excited because it was a great day of fishing. And I walked past the kayak and one of the treble hooks caught my suit and went right through it.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't know it at the time to carry, Tear Aid and Aqua Seal and stuff like that. I had it at home. So I went home, um, put a piece of tape on the outside, and then I put the Aqua Seal on the inside of the suit. And the regular stuff takes, um, I think 8 to 10 hours to cure.
Oh,
I
wow.
usually give it like 24 hours just to be safe. Um, but then you pull the tape off, and I mean, unless you know where that hole is or was,
Mhm.
you can't see it, and
Yeah.
it's never leaked since. But
Gotcha.
that same thing can happen on the water. You're out there, you flip over, you get a hook through your suit, you get back in. Well, your right underlayers, like I said, the right fabric is still going to keep you warm, even if you get a little pinhole, or you leave your relief zipper open a little bit on
Mhm.
accident or something like that, and you do get a little bit of water in your suit. Those underlayers are still going to keep you warm, and as long as you get out of the water, obviously patch that hole real quick, or most importantly, get back to shore, because you got water in your suit and there's a leak.
Gotcha.
But that's why we test,
I
every
like
couple
how
of weeks.
that video that you just posted, how they also kept you buoyant, like your friend, how they trapped air, so it in its own is another like a PFD in its own, on top of the one you're wearing, so
Right. And
that's
you
pretty
don't
cool.
have that extra weight from the clothing absorbing all that
Yeah,
water.
that moment. I mean, I try to play it back, and just all the little things like I did that I just did completely wrong. I always thought, God, I'm being as safe as I can be in the water that I'm in, and it's never. See, now I was out a long time ago. I don't know if you know Sugar Island,
Yeah.
and how about the Belch pump? Bilge pump? Is that what you call it for the water?
Yeah, the bilge pump.
Bilge pump. I kept one for my old kayak one time because I was by that island. This was a sit-in, and just out of nowhere, a southeast wind came, and water got inside the kayak, so I kept a bilge pump on me. But that day, I had a sailboat actually follow me in because he said the waves were so high. I'd be there, I'd be gone because I was under just the way the waves were going. And I bought a bilge pump and I put it on that kayak. And when I was out there flipping this one back over, I thought, why don't I not? I even thought that. Why is there not one on this kayak? Because while I was up against the Livingston wall, I could have pumped that out and had a much safer journey around that little peninsula point. Now, and I wouldn't been having that fear of flipping again and ended up back in that water. Because I was
Right.
exhausted. Like you brought up the weight of my clothing to get my when I flipped the kayak over and just to get my leg back on the kayak to start off, I'd use my arms to actually lift my leg because of one being exhausted and then two the weight of my clothing was not a good thing. Not a good thing at all.
Eye opening.
Yes, very, very, very eye opening. Because you even the time that we went over there, you wore your dry suit,
Right.
and that was in April. You
Yeah.
know,
Usually on Lake Erie, it changes from year to year, but on average, it's like May 15th to like October 15th. Anytime after that, you know, the water temperature is going to be below 60 degrees, and it is going to be dangerous and potentially deadly.
I didn't realize because I did a little research on hypothermia after that, and I didn't realize how the water temperature and how fast it can kick in and kill you. Water that I've been in for the past 7 years, not taking any safety precaution, could have took me out a long time ago. And luckily hasn't. But no more,
Well,
no more.
you know, there was a day I didn't know any better also.
Yeah,
When I first started, I knew cold water was dangerous. I didn't really understand how dangerous.
yeah.
So it can happen to any of us. The important thing is to, like you said, don't get complacent.
Hmm.
And when there's a message out there, just listen to it because there's good reason.
Oh yeah,
People lose their lives all the time for, you know, stupid reasons. Unfortunately, there's gear out there that could have brought them back.
yeah.
Um, but that's why we do things like this podcast, and I make my cold water swimming videos, and I put that information out there just to reach as much people as I can.
Your your radio you keep on you too, because mine will has give weather alerts, and will I be able to talk to other fishermen or people on I leave one with my dad, but it's not like one to call the Coast Guard like you carry. That's
Right.
something that's something I need to upgrade to just for my own safety, for my own peace of mind. You know.
Well, Coast Guard, and a lot of times it's just nearby boats. They're going to get you a lot faster than the Coast Guard. Depending on where the Coast Guard is, you might have a guy fishing a couple hundred yards away, you know, and most responsible boaters are monitoring the Coast Guard station channel 16 also. So if you call out of distress, they're going to hear it, and hopefully they're close.
When you do call out of distress, do you try to give some kind of location, or is this something that is, how do you do that?
Well, there's a couple different ways. The radio that I use, the standard Horizon HX 890, has the GPS coordinates on the face of it. So I always keep it tethered to my PFD. So if I bump it, falling out or something like that, my radio's not going to float away. So I can just look down and give them the GPS coordinates of my location. Worst case scenario, if you don't have access to your GPS coordinates, they can actually triangulate your position by having you count, I think, up to 10 and then back down from 10. And they use all the different radio towers to try to figure out at least approximately where you are.
All right. Okay.
And then worst case scenario, I carry personal locator beacon, which that sends a signal up to the all the satellites. And there's a central organization that monitors all that, and then they dispatch the signals to the proper authorities. And a lot of times it's more than one. I had mine accidentally go off. I was showing a buddy, explaining it, and apparently I set it off. Well, 5 minutes later, I got a call from the U.S. Coast Guard in Cleveland. I got a call from, I believe, Fish and Wildlife, and a couple other organizations, including one in Florida, just trying to make sure that I was okay and verifying my location and to make sure that I wasn't in danger. So, worst case scenario, your radio doesn't work because it is a handheld radio. It just works off a line of sight. The Coast Guard radio towers are very high, so they can pick up a signal from a long way. But again, it's just line of sight. Personal locator beacon, that's going to actually work with the satellites. So there's no way to get any interference with that.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, I brought up boots too, shoes. I mean, these I don't know if you can see these. These are what I was wearing that day.
Okay. They're just kind of rubber muck boots.
Rubber muck boots, but they just fill up with water.
Yeah.
But if I'm just stepping in and out with your dry suit on, it's not like I try to keep my foot this much of my calf, my above water anyway. So it's getting in and out is be fine. Getting in and out of the kayak, just don't flip no more.
Right.
Stop doing that.
And even if you do get a little bit of water in those boots or they fill up with water, you should still be able to get back in your kayak.
Yeah.
But like I said, get out there wearing the gear that you're going to have, and maybe your rod holders or crate or whatever, just so your kayak's kind of set up, and flip it over and try to get back in. See, how the boots are going to react. Sometimes if they don't fit real tight, they'll just slip off, or they'll start coming off, and now you're restricted trying to get back in your kayak. You just want to see how it works for your body, for your kayak, for the conditions.
That's another thing I wanted to do was add some kind of straps to the top of something to grab, because my center of my kayak, there's really nothing to reach up and put your hand on to grab.
Right.
Maybe a rod holder on the other side you can grab or something like that, but nothing to really assist you to getting back up there. So I was thinking about adding those to the midsection of the kayak. Maybe something on the wall.
You have a handle right there on the side?
No handles on the side.
No handle.
Nothing. Just on the nose, the nose and the tail of the kayak.
Yeah.
I need something for that. Like you said, just practice, figure out where I want to put them, set
Right.
something up to where, like maybe me and you can get together, flip a couple yaks over, and when the water gets a little bit more. It's cold now, but you know,
Don't tempt me with a good
yeah,
time.
yeah. You said it's more. It could be more addictive than kayaking.
Oh yeah,
Jumping into water with that. I don't know about that because your head's still going under that water.
a little bit.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
little bit. You went all the way. I think your
yeah,
buddy did too, didn't he? Yeah, that's cold. And that was I don't even know what time of year that you guys did that.
that was
But it,
actually the day after Christmas. I think 2020 was the test with the water that was half frozen.
yeah, it was slush. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I got there's some good spots around here I can test it too, but I definitely want to get down there and run, go through with you too. Then you can actually I don't know, give me some more tips.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I'm always here, answer
Mhm.
questions, and
Yeah.
keep everybody safe.
Yeah, you guys are. Yep, yes you are. See now where I go, pedal drive is would be pretty hard for me. Cause like right now, like when I go over to Stony, that island you were at,
Yeah.
uh, getting into that bay, you got to watch rocks big time. The water gets. I mean, there's areas where I got to get out and walk the kayak because the water's so low in that bay till you get into and then the weeds in some of the areas. So I'd really like to upgrade to what you guys use.
You can use a pedal drive system. You just raise your drive to go through those spots,
Yeah,
or pull it up and just paddle through the shallow stuff.
yeah, I'm thinking about it. And then the weight of your guys. I don't know what the weight of your guy because mine's 77 pounds, not loaded. What is yours not loaded?
The 120 is probably a little bit heavier than that,
A little bit
but
heavier.
you strap it on a cart, you can get it done pretty quick, pretty
Thinking
easily.
about maybe next season.
Yeah.
Just get bigger and bigger and bigger before you almost get big. You get to the point where you just might as well be in a boat. But I don't want to go.
Well,
I don't want to go that road at all.
it's fishing out of a boat, it's like fishing off of a floating dock. What we do, it's totally different. It's different
Yeah,
experience, different
it is.
enjoyment, and most importantly, we don't have to bust out another 1,000 every weekend.
No, no. Yeah, we don't need a place to launch anywhere. It's keeping your car drive around, and you get near the water, you can just throw it in and go
Right.
every day. And this the
Yeah.
areas we can get to because I know you like Lake Erie, and I don't know if you do many rivers around your area, but all just the little creeks I like, the little pond jumping. But there's some ponds around here that there's one pond I like to take you to that's on the south end of Grosse Ile that is summertime. It's loaded with uh carp, bowfin, garpike, and snapping turtle. They're everywhere. And they're just and I don't know if you ever caught a bowfin before, but
I have never caught a bowfin.
they are something else because you use shrimp to catch them, but they when they bite, they don't hit like a walleye or a bass or something. They just slowly take your line, until you set it, and they'll just swim away with it in their mouth, and but there's something different. I just like all the strange and unusual things that are in our waters and pulling them up
Right.
and seeing what they are, But it's a cool pond though. You would definitely dig it.
Sounds like a good time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I still got to get out there and do like one of your charters and on Lake Erie with the walleye and stuff like that. And I brought you actually up to my boss because he takes his grandson out on charters quite often. And I said, for on boats though, and I was just like, I got a friend that your grandson I think is like I don't know 13, 14, loves
Okay.
fishing. I guarantee you would love what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Get my old man out there with you too.
Yeah.
Get him off
Yeah, we
the
can do that.
Yeah, but we'll definitely do something this summer, most definitely. I'll definitely get out your way. You've been out my way. I need to get out your way. And I think I've said that a couple times and it's never made it down.
Well, you could come down soon. We could test the dry suit,
Well, that's happening.
practice reentry.
That's happening. That's 100% happening. You know, a weekend whenever you have some time, just let me know, and I'll work around your schedule because you're pretty busy on the weekends, and I'll shoot on down there and jump in the water and hopefully stay dry.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, and warm
right.
ish, as warm as you could possibly be. But you just like I said, send me or text me, email, whatever. Just the underwear, what I wear underneath. You know,
The underlayers. Yeah,
underwear.
I have a video on my YouTube channel I'll send over to you. And I'll also link that in the description of the podcast for anybody else that wants to check it out, as well as all my other cold water resources and the link to the National Center for Cold Water Safety, which is your #1 source for real facts on the dangers of cold water and everything pertaining to it. And that's at coldwatersafety.org.
Gotcha. Definitely check that out. Definitely.
Awesome. Robert, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. Thanks for taking the time to share your story. It's got to be hard. It's still fresh in your head, only 11 days away. You know, a lot of people, they struggle with it for, you know, a while, 6 months, 8 months. I mean, being in that position where you honestly feel like you know, your life is in danger, that kind of puts everything in perspective.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Just gotta be safe out there, you know.
Yep.
And everything that
You know,
hits that water, take it seriously, you know. It's no joke.
yeah. You know, it's like I will always say, fishing is life, but safety comes first.
Most definitely.
All right,
100%.
brother.
Amen.
I'll talk to
All
you
right.
later.
Talk to you later. See you later, bud.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the show. Don't forget to leave us a review and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening app. We will see you on the next episode. And remember, for me, fishing is life.